Coming up on tonight's edition of The Catching Pen, we relive a massive night of racing at Sandown Park. We look ahead to the Queensland Flame as the Phoenix Field starts to take shape. And we discuss the other feature events around the nation as Group 1 action ventures to Dapto.
Welcome along to another episode of The Catching Pen. As the intro said, a big week in greyhound racing with the Melbourne Cup run and one on Saturday night. We'll look ahead to what should be another bumper week. Matty Jackson's joining me as always. How was your week, Jacko?
Yeah, it was a really good week. Kids were back feeling as good as ever, so they were pretty crazy at home. So it was good on Friday to get back to some normality with the day off.
So it's out on the course.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely.
And you hit them pretty well too. I know you complained about having 84 off the bat. The rest of us in the group chat though, Patch, were exclaiming how good that would have been. Mate, Saturday night, hopefully it went off fantastically well. Would have been, I'm sure, a huge relief once that last race was run and won. Mate, couple of shandies, no doubt.
Yeah, a few shandies and a few potato cakes after the last as well, Wiz. But it was a really big night. The weather sort of held off. Of course, gave us a bit of grief the week prior. But, I mean, a special night of racing. I guess the main comments everyone have brought to the table is how good of a night was it? Some of the finishes in the main races were just absolutely terrific. So, special night, special occasion and special winners as well. So you're right, it's an absolute relief. It's a real intense build-up, as you can imagine. So to sort of have it behind you now and be able to take a breath is absolutely terrific. So I spent Sunday afternoon watching Cam Smith knock him around on that Queensland's feature golf tournament on Sunday afternoon. And by the sounds of it, probably surprised not to see Matt Jackson not far behind him.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Patch. The only real difference between me and Cam Smith is the fact that he's got ability. Now, I just wanted to ask you, is there any truth to the rumour that posts the meeting there on Saturday night you're busting a move to DJ Joel Fletcher?
I'll tell you what, I can squash that. Absolutely squash that, because not what I was doing, Jacko. I was too busy moving tables upstairs, getting ready for a function on Monday. So we were up there while there was some hooligans down there, clearly well hydrated, getting involved to Joel Fletcher. So yeah, really good to see people enjoying themselves in a different sort of light as well. I mean, we've seen big name music events after the last at $1 Million Chasers and events like that for the first time that I can really remember here in Victoria after the last had really kicked off. So it was good, but now I was busy still on the tools after Cup night, Jacko.
I saw some of the scenes. I mean, it wasn't exactly Fatboy Slim, and some of the scenes I saw were quite cringy, to be fair, but that's a true leader, isn't it? After the last stacking tables and chairs on the big dollars. That's what'll get you. That'll get you a CEO spot one day.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a man of the people, but he does work very hard behind the scenes, old Patch.
More than us. Let's get to the news.
The Catching Pen News is brought to you by Darwin Greyhounds, racing every Sunday and selected Wednesdays.
All right, too much news this week. First couple of items pertain to New South Wales specifically. The first item was reported that Grand Racing New South Wales returned a record record profit for the 21-22 year. Quote from Rob McCauley on the Dogs website that punters all over the world love greyhound racing in New South Wales. These latest results should make participants happy. It's the punting dollar that drives prize money, track improvements and greyhound adoptions around the state. So never a truer word spoken there. I think it continues the trend that we've seen in the other states, Jacko. I think what it displays is, and Rob obviously speaks with a New South Wales jumper on, but it displays that punters love greyhound racing because, let's be fair, it's not as though we're doing anything differently the last couple of years than what we had done the years before. In some respects, people might argue that the product's maybe not as attractive as a punting spectacle to us true greyhound racing fans, but the rank and file don't care.
No, they don't care. And I think this is all off the back of COVID in that the racing industry was pretty much one of the only industries in the world, particularly the gambling world, that kept going through COVID. So it's been able to attract a new audience that might not have been interested, say, 2 or 3 years ago, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So it's only good news, and hopefully it continues. Yeah,
absolutely. Second news item, again, I won't get a comment from the boys here, just a note to Greyhound Racing New South Wales participants that the travel subsidy policy for abandoned meetings has been changed. I think previously, if a race meeting was abandoned 3 or more hours before the scheduled start time, there were no travel subsidies. So let's be fair, this is the way it should have always been. I think it's long been argued that not all trainers obviously live within a 2 or 3 hour radius, so some trainers are already well on the road by the time these meetings are called off. So yeah, they'll be getting reimbursed, which is fantastic news. The third news item again relates just to the update of Phoenix slots. We've had a couple of other confirmations during the week. SEN have snapped up Amron Boyd, no surprise given his form in recent weeks. RSN have snapped up McInerney, and I believe that only leaves one other spot, Patch, but no real surprise here, Amron Boyd being selected.
Yeah, well, someone was going to pick him up because, as we know, he's one of the fastest greyhounds in the country, and still that monkey on the back of not taking out a big feature race. He was second in the Flying Amy and still looking for it, but with ability, there's no questioning that, that's for sure. So maybe a similar sort of circumstances where she's fast going into last year's Phoenix, where she was sort of still had that monkey on the back as high profile and whatnot that she was. But he's got a big opportunity here. So a good draw. I'm sure everyone in that field will be scared about what he might be able to do. So really keen to see where that last slot lands as well. I know there's been some negotiations with a number of different camps. So hold your breath and see what happens there.
Just quickly then, Patch, if it was your choice, the last slot, who would you take?
Well, I think they're probably tossing up between, well, even prior to the Melbourne Cup at least, between the likes of Eldorado and probably Vice Grip. I think after we've seen the Cup run and won, why wouldn't you be in the camp of Yachi Bale? I know he sort of goes against the grain and then he's a bit of a run-on type, but it was exactly that in the Cup with two absolute rockets out in front, which we'll speak about later on. So, yeah, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't go with him in the form that he's in at the moment.
No, you wouldn't. And the way the prize money's set up is, Jacko, you run 1 to 4, there's good money to be earned. He draws inside, he's going to run 1 to 4. There's no question about it. Who would you pick?
Yeah, well, after Saturday night, before Saturday night, I was probably in the camp of going with Vice Grip, but I think after Saturday night, Yachi Bale just picks himself, and like you mentioned, if he draws 1 to 4, there's a lot of other greyhounds already in the race with plenty of speed. He might just get that dream run behind them.
He'll end up on the podium somewhere, won't he?
As a rule, in those big races, the times generally aren't as super fast as, say, a heat night where a dog might just bounce to the front.
Yep.
So that's going to play into his hands as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that wraps up the news. Let's get into the run of the week. The boy that's featured in this slot before, Patch, Rejuvenate, I think after start number 1 when he nearly broke the record over the short course at Shepparton. 25.36 here at Warragul the other day, the second fastest time there ever. Only Power of Buddy at 25.30's gone faster.
Yeah, he's had his fair share of appearances on this show such early on in his career, but that's credit to him because he's a rocket. He's still coming through the ranks and only turned 2 years of age last week, so he's still got plenty of upside. He's won 9 of 11, and I think an indication from the camp, we saw him nominated for the showdown on Saturday night, being the match race where we saw Amron Boyd and Wowshi's Fast go around in. So hopefully that's an indication that his Metropolitan debut is just around the corner and probably odds on, probably be in the heat of the Silver Chief this Saturday night. So we hold our breath for the field to come out for that tomorrow.
You pinched my question to you there, Patch. Have you heard on the street at all whether he has trialled there at the Meadows?
No, I haven't. I know he's trialled at Sandown. I think before he started his racing career, he did, and as you'd imagine, went really fast. So I can only assume that he might have been to the Meadows, especially if that's the plan to go to the Silver Chief heats. The
honourable mention, and this was a wickedly fast winner. I'll come to you for comment again here, Patch. Windy Storm ran 23.37 at Bendigo the other day. This is a full brother to Sacred Stance, so another rocket by Beast Unleashed. And again, this is the second fastest time ever around Bendigo. Only Typhoon Sammy's gone faster.
It's good going, as we know, and look, seems like he's had some problems throughout his career because early on he was running super quick time and then he had a break between March and September and now starts to be hitting his straps again. So what he's done so far, he could quickly become a country cup sort of contender. So hopefully he can maintain that for the camp.
Absolutely, he will. Yeah, possibly even maybe a smoky for a throw at the stumps for Hobart 1000 coming up shortly. To get us to our first break, our Every Dog Has Its Day segment. And this week, 80 to 1 in the old here, McFergus for Deborah Roach. Second win in 24.
Venom, then came Impress Houdini, Winlock Rewards, In the Sun, Little Tantrum, and Red Jenny is last. They turn, Hurricane James leads the way. McFergus on the outside, he's coming strong. Oh, that's close.
eyes were on Sandown Park on Saturday night as the nation's best chasers stepped out in pursuit of Group 1 glory. The first of the big ones was the Bold Trees, most of the focus on fastest qualifier Moraine Susie and New South Wales radar Corburn Magic. The latter looking potent for most of the race, stalking the early leaders. However, the winner came from last to secure career win 10 for young Wagga Wagga trainer Jack Strutt, producing a performance of Bold Trees himself.
Running on, clear of Golden Quest, well back Lakeview Patsy, and then came Moraine Susie's a mile off them. Off the back straight, still untapped the leader. Trying to get it was Corder. On the outside, Corborn Magic, then Golden Quest, untapped into the straight, out deep Corborn Magic, charging, stagger out, lead!
Jack Strutt, this has been an enormous night for you. Your girl Stagger Out Lee, she was massive in the Bold Trees. Talk us through what it means to take out such a significant race, which is really still in the infancy of your training career.
Yeah, massive. I mean, you know, I love stayers and I'm very lucky and privileged to have one as good as her, and to win a Group 1 so early on, I'm just lost for words really.
Talk us through how you got her.
Yeah, so my old man had a Mybro straw he was going to use on another brood bitch, a Tiggerlong bitch, but there were some complications. I don't think she could conceive, so Scotty Parry up in Wagga, he had a bitch there, and we used the straw on her and halved the litter up. We got 3 bitches, I think he got 2 bitches and a dog. And yeah, they've all got pretty similar characteristics, to be honest. They're all slowly starting to put it together and show a bit of ability, and yeah, no, she's a little star.
And how did you get started in the sport?
About 12 years ago, we helped a local trainer put up a fence on his property, and he gave us 50% of a good dog called Aqua Jack. And then from there, we just sort of bought some pups and reared them and broke them in ourselves, and you know, sort of just reared dogs along the way and trained them just locally around Wagga and Temora and that.
So you know you've got pretty deep qualifications from an education point of view. Talk us through what they are and how you balance that up with having dogs as well.
Yeah, it's just a good way to fill in the time really. Like obviously the studying takes up plenty of time, the dogs take up plenty of time, so it keeps me busy, that's for sure. The two don't really relate at all, so it keeps it very interesting. Yeah.
Does a win like you've had tonight sort of incentivise you or make you think I'm going to invest more in what I'm doing from a greyhound point of view?
Oh, 100%. Like tonight's just been a massive thrill, and I want to be a part of more races like this, bigger races, and yeah, it's definitely motivated me a bit to take this path and keep going with it.
The run itself, you obviously would have been watching her intently. Not many others would, because she wasn't at the front end of the field. When did you sort of realise that, gee, she's going to win this race?
Probably not till we started turning for home. She sort of caught up to the leaders real quickly halfway down the straight, and she just had all the momentum. And yeah, I gave a big cheer about halfway down the straight, and she just kicked on past. I think a bit earlier on, I counted her out, to be honest. Like I think first turn, she sort of got squeezed on the rail and pulled the handbrake a bit and got back to the rear, and I just didn't think she'd be that strong to reel them in.
I'm sure you've had plenty of mentors in your time in racing, and people giving you plenty of advice. You've had a relationship with Corey Grenfell. I expect you'd be so proud of what you've achieved tonight too. Yeah, I've had plenty, like Michael Finn in Wagga. He sort of hooked us up with Corey and Samantha, and all 3 of them have been massive influences on me. And Muscle Man David Jones in Chilton, like he's probably the most knowledgeable person I know with a greyhound, and I love picking his brain every chance I get, and yeah, none of this would be possible without those 4 people. What about from a location point of view? You do stacks of travelling. How hard is that, and do you think I should be making it easier for myself at some point? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It's usually each week's probably a 10-hour round trip, no matter where I'm taking her, whether it's Dubbo, Richmond, Wenny, or you know, Sandown Meadows. So it is a big ask from her, but for her to pull off a run like that after all these big trips and that type of thing, that just speaks to her ability. Well, the party's getting underway here, mate. It's been here in the background. Your party's about to start too. So congratulations. I'm sure everyone saw your name pop up and saw your girl charge through to the front and thought, how good's that? Such a great story, mate. So pat yourself on the back. It's a big achievement. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks, Patch.
Up next was the Cup, the winner pocketing an incredible $650,000. Plaintiff started the favourite and did everything right off the coveted rails draw, as did Fernando Mick for Dave Gill, who was aiming for his third Cup victory. However, once again it was another breathtaking win from behind. Top honours going to Mark and Lisa Delbridge and the regally bred Yachi Bale.
Mick's coming again, flying Yachi Bale! Yachi Bale!
Lisa Delbridge, this is a enormous moment for the training career of yourself and of course your husband Mark. Talk us through the emotion, the thrill, initial thoughts when Yachi Bale swooped down the outside and won the Melbourne Cup.
I still wasn't sure where he'd get there. He left it to the last minute, which didn't help the heart beating. But just when he lobs fourth, I thought he had a chance of running a place, but then to run him down, yeah, unreal.
Mark was handling. Where were you?
I was in the kennels, where I stood last week to watch him in the heats. So I thought, superstition, I'll stand in the same spot, and it worked.
It worked all right. It's been a big couple of years for the team. You've won a Sandown Cup. You've now won a Melbourne Cup and a number of Group 1s in between. You must pinch yourself and sort of think, had these last few years been just far in excess of what you've ever could have imagined given the years leading up to that period?
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to... It took us so long to win a Group 1 race, which was Dinah Dean, which was about 6 years ago or 4 years ago. And then those last few years have been absolutely super, and very grateful for our owners, our workers, people in the industry. You know, I think I've got 100 messages on my phone that I haven't even replied to yet, and Facebook messages, so it's just overwhelming.
It's a great thing, and when you won the Sandown Cup, you gave a lot of credit to Gary Black as a supporter of your family and Kendall. I'm sure you got similar thoughts about the Wheeler family too.
Yeah, that's right. We wouldn't be where we are today without the Wheelers. It was probably about 10 years ago or so we started. We were nearly ready to get out because we didn't have the sort of class of dog to keep us surviving, and it's grown from there. And we owe everything to Jan and Brendan and the late Paul Wheeler. Like, he was a champion, and Brendan will continue on in his way.
On Yachi specifically, he's obviously got a ton of ability. What was the intentions? Was it sort of just the Melbourne Cup, not a speed hump, but you know what I mean, going on to bigger things over more ground, I should say?
Yeah, well, Mark questioned whether to put them in the Melbourne Cup, and Brendan said, give it a go. If you don't give it a go, you never know. So Brendan was right again, and he'll go under the Silver Chief now because he's age restricted. You have to give him a go. You only get one chance, and then he'll head to Sale for the Sale Cup.
It's a good way to go about life. Just have a go. How about your son Miles? How was his emotions tonight?
Oh yeah, he was absolutely wrapped, and because he loves the dogs and he takes pride in when he handles and everything. So as a family, I mean, Dean the worker, he was in the kennels with me, and he was crying, I was crying, and it's just unbelievable. Sean's not here. He had his mum's surprise 80th birthday, but I've had some missed calls from him, so he's probably having a few drinks by now, I'd say.
Oh, he'd be as proud as anyone, I'd say. And Lise, it's one of the biggest achievements in our game, winning a Melbourne Cup. You've done it. The Delbridge team are now a Melbourne Cup winning team. So pat yourself on the back, soak it in, go and celebrate and enjoy it.
Thank you very much. First time in the Melbourne Cup, first time winner.
1 from 1.
1 from 1. We might stop there.
So there we were at Saturday. Well, that is the Action Saturday wrapped up there in a nice package that Patch put together for us. Caught up with Jack, of course, and Lisa Delbridge. You also spoke to Jack this morning about Stagger Out Lee. I've got to say, it didn't come up there. His dad did briefly hold the shirt up, but it was the best thing to come out of the whole story, I think, the shirt. Strut in, Stagger Out. I've got to get myself one of those.
Yeah, it's a terrific shirt, and I'm sure there would have been plenty of fans of her and the Strut family that would have done just that on Saturday night. It was interesting. I spoke to him on radio this morning, and I asked if he had a big celebration. He said most likely his mum and dad would have. He drove home back to his home property at Springvale, but he said he went and had some celebratory drinks yesterday with some friends, so no doubt he would have enjoyed himself, but he was still in complete shock of what she was able to do there.
Yeah. The 2 wins, Patch, I guess it is rare in this day and age that we We have our 2 feature race winners coming from so far back. I think Yarchi Bar was second last at the first turn and Stagger Out Lee was last running out of the straight the first time. But what was your read on the final overall?
I think in the eyes of most people in both of those races, Wiz, they wouldn't have seen either of them as winning chances. And the Stagger Out Lee especially, I mean, her last section was absolutely enormous. By the numbers, it's 5:04. If you compare that to what some of the better dogs over the sprint did throughout the night, it was 2 lengths off Emron Boy Split in that same period, 1 length off Wow She's Fast, and quicker slightly than Plaintiff and Fernando Mix. So that last burst from her wasn't just a visual thing, it was mammoth, and it stacked up against some of the sprinters who performed well on the night. So huge effort. Jackson, a great job. He's targeted largely city races, and that's not going to stop, I don't think. And pat on the back to him. It's an enormous story, and I'm sure everyone's so proud of what he's been able to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the unusual things about that bitch, Jacko, and you've called her win at Wentworth Park a few times, she's completely changed her racing pattern. She used to be a leader, or certainly race on the pace anyway. You would never have thought that she could be last at the Judge in a Group 1 and win it.
No, yeah, you would definitely not have thought that, but I just wonder if the experience of being at the staying trip, she started to learn about using her energy in the right way, and it was just a matter of she might be very smart and knowing that if she doesn't work as hard early, she can finish off late.
The Cup, and Patch just sort of said then that, you know, probably to the uninitiated watching the race, you wouldn't have thought he could win. Look, you probably watch races a couple of different ways. Some people might watch them with rose-coloured glasses, but I guess because I backed him, my eyes were drawn to him, and I've got to say, sort of from the first turn onwards, at least from here where he got outside of Titan Blazer, I thought he was still a massive chance of winning the race, especially once Fernando Mick got up outside Plaintiff. I thought, okay, I'm on here, and basically, but before they got to the home turn, I thought he's going to be too strong. In the end, he hit the line with such momentum. He's won by half a length.
Yeah, I was in agreement with you. Once, like a greyhound like him, not a fast beginner, so they do rely on that luck at the first corner. And when there was that trouble just in front of him and he missed it all with the unimpeded run and he got to 4th on the outside, I was like you. I thought he just wins from this position, particularly with the 2 up front going at each other. And yeah, like you said, he was just dominant late. And that's probably where we spoke about the Phoenix earlier on in the show. That's probably why I think that he'd be such a terrific chance in a race like that. And it also must be said as well, the Wheeler team have had a really tough 12, 14 months with the passing of Paul Wheeler, and that was their first major race. I spoke to Jan on radio this morning, and she just couldn't be more proud of the Delbridges, but the person that she was most proud of was her son Brendan. He's had to do it very tough, particularly being in the shadow, I suppose, of Paul. So to get that win and just give him that, for lack of a better word, confidence that he can do it without Paul was sort of terrific.
Yep.
And it was a very emotional win for them as well.
Yeah. Some of the other features on the night, we'll roll tape on those. And the match race obviously had plenty of people talking Patch. Amron Boy versus Wow She's Fast. Amron Boy was heavily backed. Wow She's Fast got out to a crazy price in the end, given it really looked a race that was a coin flip.
Yeah, I think most people thought she got out to a price that was a bit silly. I think what we saw in those couple of runs leading up, as most of us spoke about, Amron Boy looked to be going better and running faster times, but we know in a match race, although it seems like that things are just going to play in the hands of the stronger dogs, it doesn't always look like that. And when she found the front, I didn't care who was going to win the race. I thought, this is box office. How good is this? And it played out that way. So congratulations to Wow She's Fast and winning in what was the best time of the night still, although it wasn't sort of the sort of numbers we might have expected from them on a night which wasn't perfect conditions, but if it was, an outstanding match race. And it's probably got to go down as one of the better ones I've seen in the sport's history.
Yeah, it was a beauty, that's for sure. Another race that would have given you a big grin was the winner Dookie Devil in the McKenna Memorial, that's Sir John Dillon. 33.89, very much in keeping with his PB. Patch, yeah, look, we managed to give him a good push on the night. I just thought he was a staggering price if you were willing to just forgive a couple of runs that, and again, we pointed this out on the coverage, a couple of runs that you could quite easily have just put a line through. And if you went on his previous form, he was almost entitled to be favourite in the race.
He was, and those runs you speak of, he was midfield in a Group 1 Hume Cup, but then he backed up, dropping back in distance, which was, in hindsight, unsuitable, where he just got cleaned up and put nowhere. But Glenn Dayton prepared him for the John Dillon, and he just went straight to the front, and it was a top win. And I mean, he's probably in a position now, Wiz, and I'd love to get your opinion on this as well. You can either go to Brisbane and target the Golden Sands, or he stays home and goes to Sale. Both for similar amounts of prize money. Do you really go on the road and sort of risk the dog's sort of mindset as sort of a homebody that he's been throughout his whole life, or do you stay local in what's probably going to be a deeper series and target the Sale Cup?
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting question. I've got a couple of dogs possibly heading to the Golden Sands, so I think you should stay in Victoria, quite frankly, and concentrate on some of the riches there. But look, it's a $100,000 600 metre race. You're probably crazy to give it a miss. And the last dog we're going to have a look at, and this is a dog with a lot of promise. He's put together a real picket fence now, River Rough Patch. He's in good hands with Des Douch. Look, lots has been made of a couple of greyhounds racing at the moment with names of famous racehorses. Now, this might go back a bit before some people's time, but River Rough was a borderline champion. He was the next gun sprinter that Bob Hoisted trained after Manicato, and I know people have made a bit about Nature Strip going around at the moment. Well, I can tell you River Rough was every bit a good horse as Nature Strip was, Jacko.
Yeah,
and this dog's very good too.
Absolutely, 9 of 14. He had a tumble in a race at Sale back in August, had a couple of months away from the racetrack, but since he's returned, he's been dominant and he's getting better every start, and he's just got that willingness to really chase. Like, there was an iffy run there for him at the first turn, but he just drove through it, and once he found the front, it was all over.
Yeah, it just goes, look, it's the old saying, isn't it? Winners keep winning.
Yeah,
and losers can make excuses. To get us to a break, the other feature race on the night, a Vic Bred final. It went the way of the beautifully bred Shadow Riot.
Speed Vanilla Bandit, now acceleration from Shadow Riot, drives hard and will keep the lead. Behind them out deep was Holy Smoke, on the inside Trending Zari. Getting checked there was Silk. Further back in the field, Your Colour Room, and then came Try Catch Up. Down the back, Shadow Riot and Vanilla Bandit going nose for nose. They're clear from Holy Smoke, and then came Trending Zari. On the turn at Shadow Riot, Vanilla Bandit is on the outside. Shadow Riot in front, Shadow Riot won.
The Queensland representative in this year's The Phoenix will be decided at Albion Park this Thursday, with a high-class field to do battle. After a recent stint in Victoria, Shipwreck returned to home soil for the heats last week and was brilliant. The son of Out of Range and Aussie Diamond bringing up win 10 at start 32.
Strongly, followed by Tiana Bell. Power moves the rest, headed by J coming to the corner. In front is Springtime Jet. Shipwreck coming to the outside. Springtime Jet, Shipwreck.
Big win there by Shipwreck, 29.68. Really exemplified the performance. He'd have been able to run down the leader there in 29.90. You'd have thought it was a big win, Jacko, but 68. Let's have a look at the market for the Queensland Flame. Of course, the winner will go down to the Meadows, represent Queensland. DeFerrin and Shipwreck, your equal favourites ahead of Springtime Jet. Tungsten Misses beautifully drawn in the red, and J is there at 8.50. So there's your market for this upcoming feature race on Thursday, and we've got the owner of the equal favourite DeFerrin, Darren Leeson, joining us on the line. G'day, Darren. Exciting times coming up on Thursday with your boy.
It is Jason. Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I guess he likes to win, doesn't he? 14 out of 19 starts. It's a bit of a dream. He just keeps doing it. So very happy at the moment.
Yeah, winners absolutely win. We were just speaking about another dog previously on the show. He's just got that. He's got that habit. Okay, he's got a tricky draw in the final, but I was actually only having a chat to Tony Zampet this morning, and Tone was, I guess he was emphatic about the fact that he's had plenty of experience out of the middle recently.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to draw a box, has he? So to be 14 out of 19 actually is quite good as well. I'm a bit ambivalent too. It just depends how box rises, how it happens at box rise, doesn't it? You know, he's definitely got to jump. Any dog drawing the 5 has to jump, otherwise they get shut out. So, and he doesn't begin that great at Albion Park, so it's a little bit of a worry. But he's been beginning well enough, I think, the last couple of starts there. And if he can do that again, he probably might be able to posse up at the first turn and give himself a bit of a chance.
And Darren, obviously, if he can win on Thursday night, there's a big carrot at the end of that to represent Queensland in the Phoenix. What would it mean to be the Queensland representative in the second of the $1 million races this year?
Oh, it's a dream, mate. You live in the dream just to get to the final, you know. Sort of dare to dream a little bit, one win away from possibly lining up. So, and you know, money's nice and everything, but you know, most of us are in greyhound racing just for the experience and the thrill of it all. So, just enjoying the ride at the moment with the dog. It's always nice to have a fast dog, and yeah, just be a total life changer, wouldn't it, for most people? $1 million race. So, yeah.
Indeed, it would be. Darren, clearly is going well. When you look at the race on Thursday night, the market considers Shipwreck as the main danger. Is that the same way you see it from your point of view?
Oh, I think everybody's scared of him. If he's anywhere near us all, he'll probably blow us away. But I guess they've done us a little bit of a favour drawing out in 7. It means he's got to work a little bit harder to find that clear run that he probably needs. So, yeah, I mean, definitely the dog to beat. Just got to hope you can get far enough in front of him, I guess, and he can't catch her. That's pretty much the story with Shipwreck, I guess. But great dog, and, you know, I was a bit surprised that we actually started up favourite at 280, I think, the first time I looked, and that's we're $3 now equal favourite. So I'm quite humbled that we're actually the same line of betting with him.
You spoke about what it'd mean to make your way into the Phoenix and come down to the Meadows. Talk us about who's involved. I see there's a syndicate behind the ownership side of things. So will there be a big crew if that was to eventuate, come down and take the show on the road?
Oh, I've got a good mate of mine, Sandro Bacchini. He's sort of been driving me to chase up even sort of slot holders and everything, trying to get us down there. So so he's sort of talked about coming down with me. And part owner's actually an English guy who lives in England, who's pretty much hooked on Australian greyhound racing. So he's invested heavily over the last 5 to 10 years and hasn't had a lot of luck. And then he chance meeting through, as I mentioned, Sandro Bacchini, chance meeting through him to me. And I guess the rest is history. I gave him a share in the actual mother of DeFerrin, Pennybacker. She was she won a couple of races at Wentworth Park, and good hard chasing little bitch who raced at an amazing 21.8 kilograms. So I think we're all a bit surprised that something so small can throw something so good. And so he's over in England anyway at the moment. So, and I don't think he'll be making the trip, but he'll certainly be watching it anyway, and he's a keen follower.
Now, Darren, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a Sydney sider, I believe. How did the Tony Zammit combination come about?
It goes back about 20 years now. I fell in love with greyhound racing when I was about 13 years of age, back in the early 80s, when Harold Park and Wentworth Park were all going around, and the dogs like Brother Fox and National Lass were racing. And then fast forward to the Tony Zammit connection 20 years later, 30, 40 years later, bought some good dogs, and he ended up training them and had a bit of success. A dog called Milady's Fool won a Queensland Futurity up there, and actually won 14 races in a row. She was going for the national record at the time that was held by Kate to Scandal, but she fell one short. Eventual Melbourne Cup winner, Waterview Star, knocked her off, but that was a great thrill. And Tony and I have been connected ever since through the likes of Milady's Fool and her little sister, City of Sydney, which was a group class bitch around the time as well. So, yeah, anytime I have a good dog, pretty much Tony gets it. So that's our involvement.
Yeah, and your previous top-class dog, Frida Las Vegas, who we'll all remember from a couple of years ago, was another very, very strong finishing bitch. She's just had a litter as well. You're a bit of a breeding aficionado as well, Darren. Just talk us about the choice of size for her there.
Well, natural one. There's a couple of part owners, silent part owners in it, Scott Jackson and Dale Robinson. So they were big on Fernando Bale. So we went to Fernando Bale the first time. And then, which was a nice enough match. We liked it, and he's the gun size, so why not give him a crack? And then we got a bit more serious. We thought, we'll see what's around at the time. And there wasn't a lot of proven size that we really liked. And she's an imported, well, her mother's an imported bitch that I brought out called Droopy's Hope. And basically we're just doing the reverse of what the Aussies tend to do, and that's breed to the outcross and bring back to the natural lines that are already in her. And that's pretty much what we've done at the moment. She's got a litter on the ground by the gun Irish dog called Droopy's Sydney, who's basically the Fernando Bale of Ireland, pretty much size every Group 1 winner, and probably a little bit fortunate that her pedigree just, matches up exactly like so many of the top offspring that he has in Ireland. So nothing too scientific there, other than just pretty much copying what the Irish have been doing with the pedigree lines with Droopy Sydney, and yeah, just now keep our fingers crossed. She's got a nice little litter of 7 dogs and 4 bitches, 11 pups. So the semen was very good that they sent out, and yeah, the dream starts. 12 months' time, we'll find out. I come in and see if they're any good or not. Yeah,
absolutely. We've obviously got a good connection there with the Dumfries and their Droopy stock. I mean, obviously one of the best lines in the UK. Darren, we wish you all the best, absolutely, on Thursday night with DeFerrin. Not only on Thursday night, but into the future. Of course, he's got the Derby and whatnot coming up as well. And then even further into the future with those pups, mate. So hopefully we'll get to speak to you again at some stage on the show. But thanks for today.
Thanks for your time, guys. See ya.
All right, so from owner to trainer, here's Tony Zammit.
Oh, in the kennel, he's a very, very relaxed dog. He gets himself a bit excited on race day. He seems to always know when he's racing. So that's when he really comes to life. He gets a little bit funny with strangers. He's got a little bit of a funny personality that way, but once he gets to know you, he's all right. So but he's certainly good on race day. He knows what he's got to do. He's sort of, I think he knows he's good. He's out in the yard out there on dogs are laying on the bed. He'll stand over them and like he's telling them to move. That's his bed when he gets outside. But he's good with the kids. He's good with, I've got a couple of grandkids living here with my daughter, and they come in and play with him, and they sort of know, they know what he's like, and they're very relaxed with him and he's relaxed with them. So I always find that he's a good work dog, you know, when you take him out to do his training. He loves to run up the straight for his training work, so he's that sort of a dog. He's all go. As soon as you get him out of off the property and he knows he's got to work and train, he's always cooperative in that regard.
Outside, Luminosity, tackle by DeFerrin. This is a win. DeFerrin, a statement. Springtime Storm. Now DeFerrin opening up. A good pipe opener, and DeFerrin won by 2.5.
Tony's won 12 premierships. Like that's unheralded just an effort Tony had. Oh.
Yeah, well, he's had a really good track record at Ipswich. He's only been beaten once there. That was in the Ipswich Cup of all races, but he won the Consolation, and that race was coming out of box 5. That's the same as what he's got in the final on Thursday night. And he begun really well off the 5 that night, so I'm not that disappointed he's got the 5 because he's had 5 starts out of the 5 box, and he's had a bit of experience out of that draw. Yeah, he's a dog that likes to stay a little bit off the fence, so he'd probably go straight from those boxes. He won't crash in or push real wide. He'll run towards the middle of the track. So in a way, it was a test for him the other night because he had box 1, the first time he'd ever drawn it. I wasn't sure where he was going to go, but fortunately the dogs outside of him didn't ping the lids, and he was able to get out a little bit off the track and still drive through and get to the lead at the winning post first time. So.
But it's DeFerrin clear, and DeFerrin, the rise to open company. And
that worked in his favour the other night, having the 1 box in that field.
Hey?
Yeah, you jumped well from the one. Hey, mate, you jumped well.
Oh, beauty. Hey? Oh, mate. You're one step closer. Good on you, mate. Good on you.
Took on real good dogs in the Ipswich Cup, which is probably one of his first big tests. The other night, that was another go at the top grade. So I was really pleased that he handled himself so well in that grade, because a lot of his early wins were in the low grade races. So he's adapted to the higher grade racing pretty well. Yeah, this is probably, well, this would be the biggest race we've ever gone to. I've been to big staying races in Sydney, and when the good sprinters that we've had over the years have gone down for their feature races and had a go. But certainly to see $1 million race in greyhound racing was nothing that I'd ever expected to see in our lifetime. And with such good turnover coming into greyhound racing, the returns coming back to greyhound racing in prize money has been of a great benefit. It now will give people more rewards and more incentive to get involved in buying a greyhound or buying a pup or getting involved in the greyhound. So this would be a great boost for all the racing in all of Australia, seeing a race like this on the calendar.
There we are, the great man, Tony Zammit. Got a couple of dogs, fortunate enough to have a couple of dogs with him. Jacko does an amazing job. You don't get in the Hall of Fame by mistake, but if you've ever just got a couple of minutes and you need to ring Tony just quickly for something, don't bother, because he's going to keep you on the phone more than a couple of minutes. Loves a chat, and well worth a chat too. To get us to a break, we had the running of the Capalaba Derby on Sunday, and it's back-to-back feature winners in Queensland for Seneki, with Wefferley Shield winning. A greyhound bred by a good friend of myself and Kat's, Sharon Gray, in Wingham.
Selwood Hayes, Wefferley Shield handy. Just in front was Bartel Hayes. Wefferley Shield is after it. Selwood Hayes to the outside. Wefferley Shield hit the lead. It's a New South Wales victory.
We start this week's wrap in the Festival State, where the Brian Johnston final was run and won last Thursday. Spring Honour proved box speed is key to big race success, leading from go to woe for Greg Board, taking her career stats to 20 starts for 8 wins and 9 minor placings.
At Spring Honour from Fittest Surprise, a big gap. Came Fittest Redeem, Yarramundi Paul, then Agent 13. But up front, Spring Honour led from Fittest Surprise, checking off heels. Spring Honour in front of Fittest Surprise, Yarramundi Paul will storm late. Spring Honour lifting, does it? Spring Honour.
On the same night, it was off to the Apple Isle for the Devonport Chase Decider. Local star Nalem Fencer started the top elect, but found plenty of bother. The victory instead going to Rojo Diamond for Robin Grubb, who made it win 22 at start 35, taking his earnings to $90,000.
Harden up Johnny well back. It's Rojo Diamond exploding away in the home straight and racing clear. Rojo Diamond, a very impressive winner.
On Friday, we venture to the Northern Rivers, where a quality field met for the Casino Cup final. It was one of the roughies who got the chocolates. The well-bred Take Two holding out respectability to record win 7 at start 15 for owner-trainer John Thomas.
Well back was Hyperdrive and back with it was Context. Good battle up front. Take Two as a narrow leader. Lewis Rumble on its outside and stalking them respectability. Kicking near home is Take Two. Lewis Rumble can't get it, neither can respectability. Take Two. Take Two takes out the Casino Cup.
There we are. Mark Arundel getting very excited, as he should, with Take Two winning the Casino Cup. Rojo Diamond was excellent in the Devonport Chase. The half to Pico Cannon Spring Honour took out the Brian Johnson. Any takeaways for you, MJ?
Yeah, the only takeaway I got out of that is Take Two. It was declared by the one and only Jason Lincoln on this show last week, so you would have had a big fill up on Friday, wouldn't you?
You know this story, and this is why you've brought this up. So, yes, I did say on the show last week, this is way over the odds. It's a bet. Of course, I forgot until Friday and woke up, thought, yep, beautiful, Casino Cup's on today. I'll go over here to golf, Jacko. I was so elated that I hit him straight for once after golf. I had a couple of schooners and I completely forgot about Take Two until Jacko jumped in the group chat, oh, whiz, how good, and I just, wanted to shoot myself. But anyway, $21 winners, can't let them be going around.
No, you can't.
Unsupported.
That's the only negative about golf is you need to be on top of what's happening.
This bloke's certainly on top of what's happening. Joe Comito, he's got 2 runners in the heats of the Dapto Megastar, and we've got him on the line. Joe, thanks for joining us, buddy. We'll touch on Hold Me Up first of all. I took him down to Melbourne recently for a crack at the Cup. He didn't disgrace himself.
Yeah, no, I was happy with the run. It was all a learning experience for us and the dog. I didn't know how he was going to travel. It was the first time he'd travelled. But the first time for the prelude, he didn't travel that well, but definitely a lot better in the Cup heat. He travelled a lot better, settled a lot better, and just lacked a bit of early pace. But the box didn't help. But no, I was happy with the run.
Said about him, I think he's one of the most underestimated, or certainly doesn't get the plaudits he deserves, especially here in New South Wales for the kind of dog that he is. Joe, just having a look at both he and the girl, Funky Girl, neither of them have raced at Dapto. Have you been able to get a couple of trials in, and how have they gone?
I was only able to get one look in on Friday, and Hold Me Up went very nice. The girl, she did have a little bit of a look around, but no, I was happy with both of them. But yeah, definitely Hold Me Up was the better of the two for sure.
Now, Joe, with Hold Me Up, we're about to see a replay of his $1 Million Chase heat win, where he had box 5. He had box 5 in a heat of the Melbourne Cup. He's got box 5 on Thursday. He hasn't had much luck in these heats, but it must give you some confidence that he was able to win this $1 Million Chase heat. He was also able to place in the Melbourne Cup heat. So it must give you confidence that he can go there on Thursday night and run a really good race.
Yeah, we haven't had much luck with the boxes, and then obviously we drew the 6 in the final, the $1 Million Chase, which didn't help at all. But look, as long as we can qualify and get through the final, look, hopefully we can draw a box. But you know, if we can run top 2, well, that'll get us through. And yeah, that's the goal. Obviously, he'll improve for the run. You know, only having one look down there, but we just got to get around that first bend.
And Joe, the other one we're speaking about is Funky Girl, and she spent a lot of time racing at Richmond and especially up the straight. What was it about her that you sort of thought to yourself, right, it's time to step up and target some of these bigger races?
She won a lot of races over the sprint distances, and she loved, for some reason, she's only a 24-kilo bitch, and she loves the straight. And we thought, well, we've got to use the grading here and try and win a few up the straight before we start stepping her up. So that's what we did. So we won a few up there, and then decided to start stepping her up. And she had the brilliant early pace, you know. So yeah, it's come to help her now over the 500, where she can get out in front and keep out of trouble for a little bit. You know, it helps.
Now, Joe, obviously you're only a small kennel. How many have you got in work at the moment? And also, just touch on what it meant to qualify for the $1 Million Chase in a race of that prestige.
I've only got a small team. I've only got 6 at the moment. 5 are racing. One's out injured at the moment. She hasn't started yet. But all of them winning races, so they're all going good. I just want to keep it that way, just a smallish team. And yeah, to make the final was a dream come true. It was unbelievable. You know, just even to make a race like that, some of the names out there, you know, it was just a dream. But unfortunately, we drew the wrong box. But you know, you got to be in them to win them. You know, so that's what we were trying to do. And same with the Melbourne Cup. You know, we went down and had a look, and just haven't come up with a box again. But hopefully, one day we'll draw a box.
Yeah, well, keep making the finals, and eventually one will come your way. Anyone that's specifically been a real mentor for you in your training career, Joe?
I've dealt with a lot of trainers over the years, but I've sort of been on and off out of the game for about 20 years. We had a bit of a break there for about 5 years where we were just breeding and getting other trainers to train, and then we sort of got back into it accidentally, you know, where we had a lot of dogs out there and they were sort of coming back to us injured, and I thought, well, you know, we're doing all the work, we're doing all the fixing up and that, well, you know, we might as well just start putting the noms in and getting them ready ourselves. We're doing all the work anyway, so we sort of got back into it that way. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people to thank along the way, you know, that have mentored me for sure.
Whatever it is that you're doing a great job at. As I said, he's one of the most underrated dogs going around. Hold Me Up. It's great because he always goes around a backable price, Jacko. But mate, good luck on Thursday night, and certainly again if you happen to make the final the next week, mate. So yeah, can't wait to see those 2 go around Thursday. Hope they run well for you.
Great, thanks a lot. Yeah, fingers crossed we can get through, and then anything can happen in the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Comito there, who's got Hold Me Up and Funky Girl in the heats of the Megastar on Thursday. To get us to a break, our kennel keeper for this week is a dog by the name of Sandave Pepper, who is undefeated, 6 starts, 6 wins, kicked off his career with some, well, majority of his runs all in short course 300, stepped up to 500 for the first time here, and a very impressive win, 29.44. So I said he's a dog 6 from 6, and he's already taken some big scalps, so stick with him.
Sandave Pepper leads the way by 6 lengths. Gold Rush Lad is closing in. Khan is third, followed by Young Ivan, and then came Major fourth. They turn for home. Sandave Pepper leads by 4, and 2 strong for Sandave Pepper.
Hi guys, Well, it's been another great week of racing here in New Zealand, and to kick things off, we're going to take you back to Manawatu last Friday afternoon, where one of the stand-up performers on the program was a greyhound by the name of Sweet Potential. Let's check out the replay. This was a race for the open class sprinters, featuring the likes of reigning sprinter Olivia Typhoon Tim. Sweet Potential has jumped to clear last off box 8. This greyhound's been backed in from $5 first thing in the morning as well, and when she jumped like that, you kind of thought she was running for minor money at best, but she has absolutely flown home to get up and score over the 375 metre trip. A terrific performance for Sean Codlin, trainer in his 20s, who does a great job with his greyhounds, and he was just ecstatic with the performance. This greyhound had been off the scene for nearly 4 months. He's been very patient, nursing her back to the track, and you know, why wouldn't he? He knows how good a dog this is. I remember him telling me even before she first lined up at the races that this is the fastest dog that he'd ever put a collar and lead on. He said that he had goosebumps after the race. She'll be lining up in the $15,000 final this Friday afternoon at Manawatu. She does typically begin actually quite well, so I think she's going to be very, very hard to beat again this week. The other people that I want to touch on this week are a new training partnership by the names of Jamie Pruden and Sophie Whitaker. Now, they've only been training for the last couple of months. Both of them have been mentored by top trainer Karen Walsh. And look, in their first couple of months of training together, they've had 16 starters for 14 wins in 2 seconds. So just an incredible training record so far by these two. Their UDR strike rate is utterly insane. It's currently sitting at .9444. Incredible stuff. And look, if you're having a bet in the next couple of weeks, I've got to say, just back Jamie and Sophie's dogs and you probably can't go wrong. Catch you guys again next week on Across the Ditch.
Thanks to Liz Whelan there for our New Zealand update. Let's get into the dog diary and have a look what's upcoming here in Australia for the rest of the week. Of course, we already know about the Queensland Flame, and we've learned all about the Megastar. We've got the Newcastle Cup Heats coming up on Friday, Anniversary Cup Heats, Cannington Saturday, and then one of my favourite races each and every year. I just love the age classics, Jacko, the National Derby, the Silver Chief, the Maturity. They're amongst, I think, the best races each and every year. So, yeah, looking forward to that. That's the action on the track. What do you got planned for the weekend? Anything exciting?
No, it'll be a pretty normal week for me this week. I'll work tomorrow night at Wenny Park, go down to Dapto for the Heats of the Megastar on Thursday, which I can't wait for. Friday round of golf in the afternoon, and then Saturday Wentworth Park. So pretty normal week for me.
Beautiful.
This
Sounds
week.
good. What about you, Patch?
I'm probably trying to do as least as possible, and put the feet up somewhat, although racing resumes as normal at Sandown this week. But soccer's been all right. The time slot is feral. It's hard to get around it, but I think that the cricket starts in Perth tomorrow, so would love to be over there and enjoying that action. I think our good friend Shane Williams is whining and dining as well, so all the best to him with that experience.
Well, Shane Williams, you just shocked me that he would be home in WA, to be quite frank. I mean, there's feature races happening at Dapto, at Albion Park and at the Garden, so I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd have rocked up at any of those 3 tracks, because my God, he can find a race meeting. Well, that's about as far as we can take you this week for the Pen. Looking forward to dissecting all of what happens for the remainder of the week next week. Good luck, good punning.